Okay, good morning. So I receive lots of requests from customer and also some that the supporter want to access that database and content server docbroker outside the cluster. Um, because when we deploy Documentum product to Kubernetes, um, you normally have no direct access to your database, docbroker, content server. Um, Same to HTTP application like WebTop. But most HTTP application will have out-of-box ingress load balance to expose HTTP access. But ideally want to have access to database, content server, docbroker outside the cluster. When you install content server config, do anything else, it's easier. You have your database connection from outside. You can check your database connection. You can check your docbroker connection. You can check your content server connection without WebTop DA D2. Um, so that is a pretty ideal situation to expose database, content server, docbroker outside cluster. So you can using DB client, DFC client, or Composer, whatever tool to check your database, docbroker, content server status. So today I try to explain how this works, what is need to be done, what kind of tool you can use to access database, content server, docbroker outside cluster. So today's this demonstration will be focused on Amazon EKS cloud service. Should be same applied to Google Cloud, Azure, but different vendor will have different that maintenance framework or management framework will be a little bit different on security checking, firewall setting, but on a Kubernetes framework should be same. So this is common that Kubernetes setting on Amazon EKS. So this diagram already used on previous several that knowledge transfer for Kubernetes. So I just skipped this one. So I want to explain how this works for Documentum family. Look at this particular chart. So from the left side, you will see the normal deployment from our Hillman chart. They will deploy Documentum server, docbroker, D2, XAP, all this application on a cluster. Then we have ingress, we have load balance to allow you to access all this HTTP application, D2, DA, XAP through ingress. So on the top, let me pull that some tool. How can I use it later? But anyway, so you see on the top, I have red light line. Here's HTTP, HTTPS. So all this access was through ingress, through load balancer. So this already outbox of our Hillman chart to config. If you want to know how to configure ingress, whatever, you can go back to my previous knowledge transfer, how you deploy ingress, how you configure ingress. Today's knowledge transfer much focus on below, the TCP IP, not HTTP, because HTTP as default will be enabled by Google, by Amazon, by Azure, because all HTTP secure port will be default to enable to access. But any TCP IP will be disabled by Amazon, Google, Azure as default, because they don't want you any external user to access all this database, count any application, non-HTTP application directly. They will disable as default. So in our situation, we want to have access to our database, our content server, our docbroker, just for convenience to troubleshooting or configuration, installation, upgrading. So I much focus on the bottom that section. So I will explain how we expose content server, database, docbroker to external, to allow external DFC client, REST API, DB client to access database, content server, docbroker directly. So what are we supposed to do in our human child YAML script? So before we do anything else, on Amazon, first you need to make sure you enable that Amazon security group to allow you to access the resource inside of a cluster. So in Amazon, they have so many security groups, security management on Amazon EKS platform. You need to go to log on to Amazon console to configure the security to apply to different working node, your service, your storage, your network. You have so many configuration need to be done in order to have access to access all resource inside of cluster. Here I only focus on what you need to be done on security for working node in order to access resource inside the cluster. We're talking about resource in today is database, docbroker, content server. How we need to enable TCP/IP in order to access. So what you need to do, you connect to your Amazon console, go to your security group, find that the security group that applying to your working node to make sure you see that the traffic for customer TCP, in my case, I put it to 30,000 to 32,000 to allow any network to connect to TCP/IP. That port range is around 30,000 to 33,000. Also need to make sure that X outbound rule allow any IP can access, allow that any application inside of cluster can go outside to access any kind of IP address. Let me stop sharing. Let me go to Google or go to that Amazon console. You can see I connect to console. I can get all of my, this is my cluster. Cluster name is OTL, DCTM EKS cluster. This is my cluster I created. So when you have this cluster, in each cluster, you have security group. You have all this security group. When you bump up, you go to your security group in here. This is my security group. So you can see this is my OTL DCTM EKS worker. Worker in my case is my working node. You have the security, same as Documentum ACL, to provide the control to control access. So in this case, this is my inbound. So inbound, I need to go to the one, see this one. This one I add. So actually, when I set this expose service to external user, sometimes everything set properly, but I cannot access docbroker database because that time I did not have this inbound rule to allow that external IP address to access. So that's not working for me. So I open the ticket with Amazon that support. They come back to tell me, say you did not open the inbound that network traffic to allow that external user to access cluster. So what I did, I come to here, I add a new role the new rules is TCP, is not HTTP. You can see all HTTP automatically enabled. So HTTP, ICMA, they all automatically enabled as default. Only TCP is not enabled as default. So you need to add a new TCP IP. You can go to all, but I don't want to go to all. But I only put that connection port range is 30,000 to 32,565. In this IP address, I will allow that any external, say IP is 000/0, that means any IP outside cluster can access this service port. This service port from 30,000 to 32,600 will allow you to access. So you need to do, without this configuration, I cannot access docbroker, cannot access database. But you need to make sure when you put this range, you need to define your docbroker, content server, or your database, remapping the external service port to this range, because I only open this range. I did not open all. I only open range is 30,000 to 32,000. If you look at outbound, this is inbound. The outbound normally you enable all. So you definitely you do this, right? You allow any inside application, any traffic go outside to any place. So that's, you see, I just only have one rule here. Is that means IPv4, all traffic is enabled to any IP address. So you need to configure your Amazon or this configuration allow the traffic between inside resource to outside application. If you go to Google, in our GTS lab, in current GTS lab, they do not have any restriction. So in the GTS lab, we have range, all connection, the security is open. You do not need to do anything, but because that's managed by our OpenText IT, they are still working on, so they just open all the connection. But the Amazon one, because this hosted by Amazon, they have all the security there. We're a little bit complicated for you to do all this kind of security management. If you want to go more detail, how you set up cluster, how you set a working node, you still can come back to my previous that 12 different that knowledge transfer. So in that knowledge, you have more detail there. So today we'll much focus on how you expose the internal service go to external for TCP protocol. If you have any question, you can always asking. So you do not need waiting for N. Okay, so this is for that how you configure security group to enable inbound, outbound access for your cluster node. So allow that traffic go inside and go to outside. So that's you need to do. So that is for first you need to configure your Amazon that network. Now we need to go through a little bit quick to ingress. So when we're talking about here, the top one, the HTTP, this one, all this configuration is through ingress. For HTTP application, we through ingress or load balancer gateway. So this is so how you deploy ingress. The detail will be on the previous whatever that knowledge transfer did. So this you deploy ingress. You have all ingress config, then you have ingress mapping to your D2, any DA, smart view index agent. You do all this configuration mapping on your ingress. Then you can access your load balancer IP, public IP, that public IP assigned to ingress. You can go to your ingress IP /D2, they will redirect to D2 service. You /DA, they direct to DA service. So that is how that works. So you can see you can, using that load balancer, you connect to DA, WebTab, WDK, any application D2. So this is how you deploy DA, you deploy Explore, or deploy on that ingress. So let me quick share how we can access. But that's I just a little bit go through the configurations, quick configuration for that the HTTP access. So as you can see, this DA are connect to this Amazon, that load balancer IP, I /DA, then I can access DA. You slash to OTDS, you go to OTDS. You slash to dsearch, you go to dsearch. So where you can see from is here. If you go to here, look at my ingress. So this still HTTP. So kubectl get ingress. So this ingress I deployed. Oh, it's lost connection. I need to come on. I need to relog on. Because we connect to that Amazon through our open text group license. So we need to connect to our open text lab first. Then this lab will create a gateway to allow us to access that Amazon, that the EKS lab. So now I connect. So if you to kubectl get ingress, so already deployed, all the detail will be on previous that knowledge transfer. Let me show you what has been kubectl described ingress. So this is ingress name. Okay, you can see here mapping here. This is IP address. IP address. This is that Amazon that load balance IP. This was public IP. So you can I see the mapping out here. So if you go to /D2, they map into D2 classic. If you go to D2 config, they map into D2 config service. So we got this service. If you do kubectl get kubectl get SVC, the shortcut of service. So you will see, so D2 classic. So how you get D2 classic port number 8080 D2 classic. So you have mapping your HTTP path and mapping to your service. So this is how HTTP work. I just quick scanning. So, but I more focus on is go to that TCP/IP expose. Now I go through what exactly we need to do to expose your database. So as default database, if you look at our default database, if kubectl get a port. So you can see I have database deployed. This is my DB database, but this is internal. If you look at kubectl get database service. So this is my database service. So this is only internal. You cannot access from external. So if you do kubectl describe service, this outbox dbpg database postgres. You look at here. So this is internal IP. This is that database default 5432. Hold on. Did I recording? Okay, it's a recording. So this is a local access point. This access point that service. So another thing I will explain later. So when I really to do mapping. So this outbox. So this port is not exposed to anywhere. So only can access this internal IP. This IP only inside of a cluster. You cannot expose to external. In order to expose this database connection to the outside, I need to create another service. So this is outbox service. I need to create another service. That service to expose that docbroker, that not about Docker, Postgres database, that service port to external. So first you need to go to the master value YAML file. You create a new entry. I create a new entry. This is external Postgres database. I put here the external DB. So I will say we want to enable set to true external IP. This is that port number I need to use to export to external. So this port also need to be fit into that the connection the service port I already defined on that Amazon that the security group. So it's my security group allow 30,000 to 32. So this service port must be inside this one, otherwise it's blocked. So this is at the service port. Where to go? So you can see this DB port is 3014. So I want to create a service, create additional service. So this is that your master that the value YAML file. So then I need to go to that database chart in here. So you will see this particular, I create a new service file. EKS 22.2 D2 chat database template. So this is the file I open, is called create a new one called extend service. So this extend service will read this information from left side. So whenever you call external DB, if you enable set to true, also you want to create a service set to true, then they will using this service to create a new service. So this is define this particular YAML chart. This is service. So I put additional prefix name is native, or you can put whatever name, just distinguish your name come from outbound called dbpg. Now I put a native PG, or you can put external ext, whatever, just the name to distinguish your original, that service name. This for external connection. So the type will be node port. In this case, this service will attach to your node, because all the working node IP is public IP. So if I go to here, where's my, come on. Why cannot see my node here? Give me a second. Let me go. Interesting. Yeah. Okay. kubectl get node. Okay, so I need to get IP. So I have 8 nodes because I have so many things deployed to here. This is your, so all this service, they tell you this particular service will be associated, will be accessible by all this node IP. So this is all node IP. This IP is public IP. You can access from anywhere. In this case, this is my local one. So you can see I can access this port, this service, that node IP. So this is public IP. So this tell you this service is running on node port. So how node port cluster IP or load balance, how different, you can go back to my previous that knowledge transfer, or you can Google all this different. So in this test, tell me I have the original service port is on the value database. So this is value come from 5432. So this value pick up from my master value file is come from that category database. Then DB service database, DB service. Come on. So this will be come from external. This will be come from external. So this is 30141. That will be exposed to external. So this is DB service port. That will be internal. So you have two service port. Let me give you a little bit explanation, maybe you're not clear what does that mean here. Let me just drag an empty page. Let me just create a new empty page. So that it will give you a little bit explanation for this, what this service port mean here. Insert. So normally you have your, let's say you have database, you have internal database, there are service port that is running on 55432. So this is your application service port. So you're running your database on this service port. But in a cluster, you need to have port service IP, because this service port is running inside a port, but you have another port, service port is on service port, which port that is accessed by any application inside cluster. That is another service port is called IP tab in IP table. So this also needs to be one. Another service port is in your node or cluster or load balancer. So this will be exposed to external. So these 3 different ports, and this port are using 30141. So this from internal, this will be always there. These 2 ports will be always there. This is how you define to external. So how this work are a little bit complicated. If you want to understand how this work, you need to go there to look at that cluster Kubernetes configuration. So now I create all the things. Database. Say I created database service name or this port. This is your external service file. So in here, I create this one, create this external service. Then I deploy. After I deploy, kubectl get service. You will see the new service created is I using native, right? So little one. So this is the native one I created. The kubectl get grab native db pd. Yeah. So this is the new that service created for that external. You can see kubectl cut describe PVC, the SVC service. So for this one is the new one we just created for external. You can see here the new one. This is that your port service port. This is your actual database service port. This is your node port external service port. So 30141. So how we can access this one? So this one will be attached to node. So you will see if you go to kubectl get all the node dash white. White. Now you will see we can access here. So what you can do quick task if I do telnet this port 30141. So this is this one, this external port. When we do this, they will connect to this cluster, this node IP, go to this external service port. When they connect to external service port, they will redirect to this endpoint. This redirect endpoint will go to your actual service port. So now it's connect. So how you can access your database. So you can see if I can check my database. So this is one client. Let me connect to here. So this is at DB client, the postgres data admin. You can see I create a connection, the property. You can see this is connection. This is the same port. So this is this port, kubectl get wide -o. So this is just one of node IP. So this is a service external service IP 3014. So I can connect. So this is my username, password already set. So when I connect here, so now I can connect to here. I can see this database, D2QA. You can see all this table. Maybe need to reconnect. I think we need to reconnect. Disconnect. Yes. Let me connect again. Password. Okay, it's connect. So now we can see all this connect. I can run the SQL query to get all the results. So this is one of my VMware, so it's not in cluster. Also, I can go to my local. In my local one, I have another tool. So this is my local local desktop. It's called DB visualizer. So I can use same one. If you go to connection, see I connect to PostgreSQL server. This is my schema. This is that the database name, this schema name. I can connect same one. I can see I run this. Maybe lost connection. Maybe force connect, reconnect. Okay. They lost connection. So all this is outside of cluster because all this application. So now you can see this data schema. You can see all this table. You can do whatever connection you have. You can do any other table you can view. Also, if you're using that, I think you are using Visual Console to do all the YAML script, whatever. You can also connect to here. You can see I can connect the database through this tool. You can see all the table name also connect. So this is more convenience when you deploy one of your database. You export database outside of Kubernetes, then you can use any tool, any database connection tool to connect your database. So that is how you expose your database. You can access. So now this is my database service. I already explained all this service port. So this is internal port, external port. So this is how you connect. So how you connect all the database outside the cluster. Next is you expose your docbroker. Currently, the docbroker also not exposed to external. So in your docbroker, if you look at docbroker, do not save. If you go to docbroker, but we do not need database. So kubectl get pod. You can see we have docbroker created. You have two docbroker created. If you do kubectl, so the pod is virtual machine. Actually, you need to have service. So kubectl get service. You can see I have a docbroker dbr. Let me grab dbr, that docbroker shortcut name. So this is no, this only capture that the new one. So this dbr. So this original docbroker. So out of box one, you see docbroker is only running on local. No one can access kubectl cut describe svc dbr. So you see this one running on 1489. 1490. You have two docbroker. They're all running inside cluster. So this one is not exposed to external. No one can access this docbroker. So in order to access docbroker from outside, we need to create another service, that service to expose this docbroker service to outside. So what you need to do, also you need to create external service, currently internal service. So you need to create in a master value.yaml file, you need to have new entry. This entry already there, you enable. So this is my service port, external service port. Default is native one is 30137, mapping to 1491. This 30138 is mapping to secure port, mapping to 1492. The detailed method, I will show you how that mapping here. So you need to create a service file. The service file, you need to pick, this is native, this is secure, both is service. So let me go back to here to show you how I did mapping. So this is docbroker. So this docbroker service file. Docbroker. Okay. So this is docbroker master value file. So you see here, this is enabled. This is that environment variable. So native one is 30137. This mapping to 1491. This secure one is mapping to 1492. So in the service file, I needed to make sure this is native one. Native one is mapping to the value external. So this should be 1489, 1491 should be. This file, let me pull that value, so not on this file. So we need to go to DB, now we need to go to docbroker. So this is another value file. Okay, let me. So you see the pull that value is called external service port 1492. So this external one is pulled from here. Come on. What? Is this one. So this is that port service number you pick from here. So after you've done that, you will see this particular external service we're mapping to, like this is final results, kubectl. I just show you the native one, kubectl describe SVC. So this is the new one I created, native docbroker. You can see here. So this is internal mapping to 1491. So this is this one. This is port IP table 1491. This is external 130.137. This is for native one. If you look at secure one, kubectl cut get SVC. So this is secure one, secure docbroker, secure. This one, kubectl. Only different now, you have different port. Cut, describe, SVC SSL.dbr. So this is another external service port. So this point to 1492, this actually database running on this port. This is that IP table, that port IP or cluster IP, a service port. So this external one. So external secure is 30138. So we did all this mapping. Then you deploy. So did all deployment, you get all this, I'll explain to you. So you can access this docbroker, the information. If you go to I don't have that DMQ docbroker inside, but I can go to any of my virtual machine. So this is one of my virtual machine. You can see I want to get that server mapping for this database on this cluster node IP. This is connection port, docbroker 30137. So this is that service port for native one. If I run this, you have two content server. You can also get database instead of do that the same thing. So this is check docbroker connection. You can see get docbase map. So you have docbase D2KW. So this will tell that docbroker is working right now. We can access from outside. So next is expose content server. It's same thing. When expose to content service, you also need to create external service port. So this new service will expose to external. So same thing, we need in the master value we have enable, but you need to have TCP routing system. Same as if you go to our content server, you have that when you're using proxy, whatever, you have translate in the docbroker. This is the same thing. We need to translate. So in this case, the TCP routing, the current one, this IP address is my node IP. Or you can using your load balance IP, whatever, because only this IP will be visible outside. So this is kind of a translation. So this content server will be running on 30139, the native one. Secure will be running on 30141. The docbroker 1491 because they are inside. For this content server inside, so you still use 1491. They do not need to. So you need to create a service. It's the same thing. You need to go to your external service. You create this one. Whenever you enable an external service, you create a security, a native. One is native, one is secure service. When you deploy this, you will see you create two more service, external service. One is for native one extension, one is secure extension. You got two service. So these two service you will be able to connect. So let me show you how that work in here. So let me see. This is docbroker now. This content server. So this is content server extend service. How you get a value? Extend CS. So this is my content service in master value YAML file. So they will tell you this is enable. This TCP routing system is pointed to my node IP, or you can use load balance IP. This tell you this is external native IP, external secure port. This docbroker, I want to create a service. So in the service file, same thing. This is service file. This is name is service name. Service name is dbpg. So this is that attached to node port. That means any node IP will attach to this service. So that means this service will attach to your node IP. The IP can accessible. So this is docbase IP. This is 50,000. Normally will be 50,000. So this is IP come from her DB service port. Let me open that file. DB, this is content server, content server, content server. So this is default. So this database, internal database port is 50,000. Secure port 5101. This master server. So they pick up this value. So this is service port for application port. This is port for that virtual machine or port IP table port. So this all we have to pay out. You have service port for application that Kubernetes IP table service port. So these two ports always happening same time in pair. So this is external port. So we will map into 30139. So this secure connection. So only different here, your data port is we are using 5001. This one will be 3018. So let me show you finally when we deploy kubectl get service. You will see two more created. So this is for native content server service port service. This is content server secure port for that one. So you can see here 50,000 internal mapping to external 30138, 5001 mapping to 30140. For docbroker, same thing. This docbroker is 1492 mapping to 30138. That 1491 mapping to 3018. If you do kubectl describe SVC, that's just using look at this secure connection. So you will see the internal port is 50,000. This is that IP table that the Kubernetes, that service port, the mapping is 50,000. Most time these two is same, unless you have same application running on same IP, then you use different one. But you have two content server, so this native, that external IP. If you look at secure one, only different here is secure connection, external. So this external, internal will be 5001, 5001. You have two nodes, two port, external 14, 30140. If you do telnet service port, kubectl get node dash wide. Now if I do telnet, so this is my one of that node IP. So this public IP, we want to go to 30139. Now you connect. So you connect. So that you tell you that at least service connection is open. Now we can test is working or not. So I already installed my that dqMan on your local. If you go to my dqMan photo, this is my local machine. I already dqMan installed. I have configured the dfc.property. The DFC property, I will point to this Amazon Kubernetes node IP. Already pointed to 30. This is docbroker service port. This is my repository. This is that whatever. Then now I can launch DMQ docbroker. Just disconnect. Let's do disconnect, connect. So I can connect to here. So you can see they already found this one, this database. I can put my username, password, I can connect. So I can do all these things. DM server config. So you can get all this access. I can do DM user as well. So you can see I can access all this content server without DA. I can just use a native one. I can use Composer to connect. So this is Composer. I put this IP address here. This is external. So if I do connect, you already connect. So you can see all that docbroker service is exposed to external. the content server export to external. You can access, even you can configure DA. You can configure DA, use that one. Let me see, I suppose to have one DA, config to external. Let me see, do I have DA to expose? So I do have, let me go to DA. So this is one of my DA. I expose to external. If I open this IP address, you can see now I pointed to 10.19.129.10.30138. I can log on to DA. So this will be much convenient when you expose to external. You can do lots of configuration or testing. No need to using any kind of a load balancer. You can just access direct to database, direct to docbroker and the content. You can see I can see this database on the cluster. I can connect. So exposed to that one. So that is the all this human chart you expose to your service to external. You have more flexible, more easy configuration tool or troubleshooting tool to access your database, access your content server, access your docbroker without using ingress or using DA. Sometimes you want to do configuration or installation, you only install database. You want to check your database that connection, you check your database all permission. Or you install docbroker, you need to check your docbroker status or check your content server status. Now you can do all these things. All these things can be done. You just only need to have your database client on your local machine or any kind of virtual machine. You have DMQ or any kind of dqMan, Composer, whatever tool, you can connect direct to database, content server, docbroker. That's help you easy to troubleshooting all that different issue that application is running on Kubernetes. Okay, that's pretty much I want to demonstrate today. If you have any question, you can ask right now.
Hey, Tony.
Yeah.
So quick question regarding that TCP route. So I see you just specify one of the node IP in your YAML file. So and also like when you run that command kube get a node -o wide, it lists a lot of the IP address. I'm not sure why you just specify the that one.
Unfortunately, here only allow you one, so you can pick any one.
Okay.
Or you can create your load balancer. You on Amazon create another load balancer. You can use your load balancer IP. This purpose is that you need to have external public IP.
Okay, yeah, but for like docbroker and like DB database, you no need to specify the TCP route, right?
Yeah, that's only content server needed. Same as in your the docbroker. If you are using proxy in docbroker configuration, you have translation because they need to translate through the communication. So this is like routing system. So this routing node is public IP. Is your node IP, your class IP, or your load balance IP?
Okay. Yeah, that's my question. Actually, I checked the the Hammond chart for Documentum 22.2. Looks like the external service YAML file for docbroker and content server
already
is already there.
Yeah.
But not for database. For
database
we have to
create manually. Yes, I create manually. Yeah.
Okay. Sorry. Another question. Like you also mentioned load balancer. So like for by you using the load balancer, you no need to enable the external services, right? You have to change the type.
Okay. So that's a good question. So they have two different setting you can use easily. So you can see all my this service, we are not using load balancer. So if you here using load balancer, let me go to original service. Definitely good question. So I think this is confusing here. Let me go to show you that. Let's just using that docbroker as example. Okay, let's just use docbroker as example. Docbroker. So you can see this additional external service, but original one, this original one. You can see this docbroker is running none. Is none. That means no external. But if you change this one to load balancer, I think, let me see. If this one, you change this type to load balancer. If you change this one, what happened is that you will got external IP. kubectl. I think one of that already test. So kubectl cut get service. You can see all this service, they do not have external IP. It's not accessible automatically. Oh, same if you go to pod. -o. So all this will not accessible directly from outside. So as soon as you choose this one to load balance, so you let me go kubectl under that ingress. That's good exception. Good that example. You can see they have external IP. So if I do kubectl, I'll get SBC -o wide. So all external IP is empty because we are not using this load balancer type. As soon as using load balancer type, you will got external IP. You will got this new IP here. When you have a new IP, that means same as our virtual machine. You know, when we create a virtual machine, we have internal IP, we have external IP. When we do that, you do not need to have another service because this particular part, virtual machine already inside, outside, have two IP. So in that case, you do not need to do anything else because you got external IP. Okay, so that I think that's easy way. This easiest way is you change all your service to load balance. But the bad part is you don't want to have so many public IP used by all this node service, right? So that's the reason all HTTP access, you go to ingress. Only ingress that IP is public. Same as that we use a service. We don't want to use load balance because load balance, you just have so many external IP to expose, another security problem. That means you expose all your service automatically to external. Anyone can access. So we do not recommend go to all this service to using load balance. Okay. Is that explain your question, Richard?
Yeah, thank you, Tony. That's all I have.
Yeah.
Thank you.
That's easy one. If you load balance, you do not need to do anything. You got external IP automatically. Okay, anyone? Okay, so if no one has any question, let me stop that recording.